It was 22 years ago when September 11, 2001
What did you find?
changed the world. And I will always remember that day. I remember going to a Frugal's restaurant, and I don't know how old I was. I guess I was probably 12 or 13 at that time. In any case, we went to a burger restaurant, and we went to a feed store, and we went to a Fred Meyer store that day. And I remember everybody with their radios, and every TV was tuned to the news. And I remember that whole experience. And it was a formative experience for me because it got me interested in patriotism and politics. And it's kind of crazy that 22 years passed since that time. I was walking around my neighborhood, and there's a high school nearby. And in the window, there is an old, faded, full-page broadside newspaper print with an American flag on it that says, "United we stand." And it's stuck up in the window of that high school. And it's been there for a long time. It's been there so long that the stripes on the printed flag have long ago completely faded away. And I was reminded of that time, probably when it was printed, shortly after the September 11 attacks, when the demand for American flags had become so high that it surpassed supply, and newspapers started to print American flags so people could post them in their windows. After a couple of decades, most of those prints vanished and were taken down. I thought it was interesting to find one that remained, and it set me to thinking about how people start to forget things. And maybe it was supremely ironic that that print would be posted up in the window of a high school where the students who now attend were not yet born on the day when that attack had occurred. That old print posted up in the window and long ago forgotten is older than the students in the building where it's posted. I thought about how important it is for us to bear witness to things that other people forget, and to honor things that are in the past. Because if we don't create memorials and monuments, we risk losing those things which have been formative to the foundation of the world. And I also thought about how
good quality there.
it's so easy to dramatically change your perspective. Just one small deviation at a time. And so it seems like we've gone so far from the way we were as a society in 2001 to the way we are today. Our priorities are so different. Our interests and our perception of one another is so fundamentally changed. Some ways for the better, and in some ways, perhaps not. Maybe in there's something to be said for the fact that we don't have as much time as we think that we do. Because a couple of decades in hindsight can go by pretty quickly. I remember when I was a child, it sometimes seemed like they seemed like they would go on forever, months. And it is weird, isn't it? Seems like time goes so slowly until you look back on it and realize that a big part of your life is behind you. And we ask ourselves how we can make a difference in the world and what our purpose is in it, what our part to play might be. Sometimes we get fixated on things that we think are important. The truth is, the only real path to peace is to come to terms with the fact that all things are as they ought to be, and that nature does not need to accomplish anything in order to be complete. Life is filled with causes for us to feel like we are dissatisfied or not at peace. And yet the truth is our lives are kind of like the lives of ants that run back and forth. We want our lives to be of great meaning. And yet, just like ants, for the greater part, our lives are largely unnoticed. And whether we live or perish, perhaps not of any overwhelmingly great consequence. And that's okay. We may endure suffering from time to time, and we may endure grief from time to time. There may be things which are quite difficult for us to reconcile in our lives. That is a truth which we should not try to deny. And yet, intellectually, we can know that whether we live or perish, thrive or fail, struggle or reap great rewards, all things are as the universe and providence mean for them to be. And so we only must bear the burdens we must, and seek to enjoy our lives as we can, and trust all other things to the mystery of that merry-go-round, which is life. I think it's interesting how we're supposed to let things go, and yet it's not in our nature to let things go. So we're always a bit conflicted. I also think maybe there's something to be learned from the allegory of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the Bible. You know, we as humans are the only creatures who have the ability to contemplate our own lack of knowledge. We have this sense that we're part of something greater, that we have a part to play, that we have a duty to perform, that there's something we need to do in order to be complete. We have that knowledge that we are part of something greater than ourselves. We have the knowledge that there's a great deal we don't know. And so we don't have the liberty that lesser animals have, because lesser animals just abide by their instincts. We too have our instincts, but we also have the knowledge that there is a higher design that is greater than any one of us. And so we're, in a sense, doomed to always feel conflicted, because, to coin a phrase, we're made in the image of God, but we know that we aren't God. And because we're mortal, we can't fully understand that which is immortal. And yet, because we are cast in the image of that which is immortal, we are not satisfied with the experience of a mortal life. So we always wish to be what we're not, and achieve that which is out of our reach. And so life goes on, and we have our journeys. If there is any peace, if there is any meaning to be gained, it probably is simply to understand and accept that there is a truth which surpasses any agenda, that which simply is. And we don't have to understand. We don't have to be okay. We don't have to be anything other than exactly what we are. I'm reminded of a scene in Harry Potter where Harry Potter finds the Mirror of Erised, which is just the word desire spelled backwards, by the way. So the Mirror of Desire, he looks into it, and he sees his mother and family there with him. And he's alone in the room, because the mirror shows what you want most desperately. The old wizard Dumbledore comes in upon him and says, "A lot of men have withered away in front of that mirror because they have dwelled on dreams and neglected to live." See, we have ghosts and memories which form a big part of who we are. Emotional baggage we carry, and all sorts of things that give us a sense of context in life, and it's important for us to cling to those and honor those things and remember them and take them with us as dear companions. But it's also important that we learn to look into the mirror of desire and learn to see only ourselves exactly as we are. Because that is happiness. That is peace. To stop saying I would be happy and things would be good if some particular expectation or condition were met. And instead to say, I am determined to give thanks in every circumstance. To understand that even if my body suffers, even if I must face adversity or loss, still, I know that all things work together. Good. Trust in your life that all things will work together for good, even if sometimes you don't understand the grand design of it all. Good luck on your journey. Till next time, thank you for watching.